Okay, this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. This is a 1949 International KB2. It has an inline 6. It's called the Diamond 6. This particular engine here needs a valve insert. We also have a cracked piston back here, so we're going to be taking care of some of this. I've been soaking this engine with Ristylene for a few months. As you can see, the engine's pretty dirty. This was on a pig farm, and I guess after 40 or 50 years on a pig farm, you tend to get a little bit dirty. But we're going to pull this engine out and redo it. I'll just give a quick walk around on the truck. I see a lot of videos on YouTube, people showing them driving around, but they don't really show a lot of detail about the truck itself, so we'll just kind of do a little walk around. As you can see, I've been cleaning up the transmission. Transmission's good. It's nice and loose, and in fact you can even see I can turn it with my finger. So I'm going to just be going through all these little seals and such in there, lube up the U-joints and such, and she should be pretty good to go. I happen to know the clutch is good on this truck, so I'm going to leave it alone, but all these little nipples here I'm going to be lubing. I know the transmission's good and loose. The transmissions are always well built in these old trucks, and truthfully it's pretty rare if you have to go through them. This truck was driven up until the mid-1980s, and so I know that most of this stuff is still fairly loose. Now I've been going through it and cleaning it up, and I'll continue with that. The brakes are what I'm working on right now, and we'll get more into that. Here's your clutch. I got the master cylinder off right now. Just kind of giving you a little idea. We're going to have to replace all the wiring in this old truck, but wanted you to have a look at what we're dealing with here. A lot of little bit of work here and there, just getting it loose, getting it cleaned. So here you can see we got our carburetor. I'll go through that. The pump is a loose water pump, fuel pump. Rebuild this. Just kind of give you an idea what some of this stuff looks like when it's apart. Here's your starter over here. Starter's also loose. And window regulator, I've been replacing glass. You got your drums. When you're restoring a car, or even just kind of working on it, it's not a bad idea to put all your bolts in little labeled jars so you know what's going on, because no matter what, you're going to forget. As you can see, here's the bed. This original wood, that's all going to have to go. Gas tank's down over here. Just for fun, I kind of polished up some of the old hubcaps, but they're still pretty dinged up. Give you a look at the front of the truck. She's pretty straight. Oh, I suppose I paid about $2.5–3 grand for her. Plus I had to transport her back to the cities here. So I got a little into her, but she'll be a good truck when I'm done. Okay, so one of the things I want to do today is talk about these brakes. Good example. You can see the spindle's looking good. I took the wheel cylinder off. I went ahead and loosened everything up. Pads look pretty good. You got to be careful. Some of these brakes are asbestos, and even some modern brakes still have a little bit of asbestos in them. Here's your lever shock. I got her loose. Went ahead and filled her up again. All these little joints I kind of lubricated. I shot some penetrating oil into the springs, and I'll continue to do that. You can see I got a little bit of grease around my fittings, most of the fittings accept grease, and if they don't, I'll soak it with some penetrating oil, and then I'll soak it some more and soak it some more, and eventually they'll take some grease. And if they don't, I'll heat them up with a torch, just a little bit, get the grease gun on there, and usually they'll take the grease. So really simple, and it doesn't require a lot of work. So right now we're working on the brakes, and I wanted to have a look at this. Here's your master cylinder. Here's your cap. Now usually these caps are plastic or reproduction. I managed to get an original cap. The way I got this off of here is I cheated. This cylinder here had this cap over here on it, and I had to break the cap apart to get it off. And I tried heating it, and I tried soaking it, and it just didn't matter. It wouldn't come off, so I eventually had to break it off. It's made out of aluminum, and it didn't come off, so I got the cylinder that way. And then the cap itself, I took another cylinder. You might disagree with this, but there's a lot more cylinders than there are trucks in the world, so I didn't feel too bad about sacrificing one. But you can see I cut this cylinder apart. That cap was sitting right in here, and that's a little trick. You take that cylinder with that cap stuck in there, and instead of breaking that cap off, I just fatigued that cylinder after I cut it, broke it away, and out comes the cap. Clean that up, and I'll put it on this cylinder here. So that's how that goes. Most of these parts are in excellent condition. You know, you do your little feel for your ridges, clean it up with a little emery cloth. I did that. So most of this stuff's in pretty good shape. Now if I had pits on the bottom of any of these wheel cylinders, I'd have to replace them, but these are in good shape. And you can see I'm just using a little bit of emery cloth sandpaper, cleaning up my pistons. Pistons are nice and loose in there. And the seals follow. These are original seals here. I mean, these seals are 50, 60 years old, and yet they're in good shape. I will be replacing them, but it is amazing. And it is funny, these brakes were pretty frozen, but at the same time, I had a little bit of work out of them, and despite the fact they were full of, I'll show you, they were full of dirt. And this is all grit and dirt that was inside those wheel cylinders. So it did need a bit of a cleanup. Now, one of the things I want to show you today is how to take one of these apart. Now, as you can see, I got this thing soaking in penetrating oil, and on the other side as well. Well, actually it's pretty dried up now, but I take the fitting out and I put penetrating oil down in here, and I've been soaking it from the inside. As long as you can get one side off, you'll be okay. You can pound the other side out. But the trick, which really does work good, I don't see a video on this, is you take a grease gun and you put your grease gun on there, and you go ahead and pull them apart. So here we go. There's my grease gun. Now, the threads on this gun are not the same. This is a fine thread. This is a coarse thread. Really, they don't match. It doesn't matter that they don't match, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Teflon tape, and I don't even have to do a good job. I just want to get a big wad of Teflon tape around those threads so I can get a seal. I'm going to take this, thread her in. It doesn't even have to be that tight. Yeah. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take a grease gun. Start shooting her full of grease. But what happens is that penetrating oil that's in there starts seeping through these end caps, and you'll see how it's starting to push out. See that? That penetrating oil is pushing out. See it? As the grease is filling that space. This side nothing, but that's okay. This is probably the side that's going to come out. You kind of waste a lot of grease doing it, but you know what? That's okay. You fill that space up. Put it in the vise while I'm doing this. Use a rag so you don't mark everything up. Let's see how she goes. And I'm out of grease.